think we can hear each other here. So I want to thank y'all for coming this evening to get a little update on the situation that we're facing here in Plaquemines Parish and where we stand today. First, I'd like to welcome some folks that are here. We got State Representative Tim Kerner, Council Member Mitch Juricic, Council Member Brian Champagne, Council Member Patty McCarty, and Ronnie Newsom. I want to thank you for being here. Also, we have Public Works Director Jeff DeMarco and Director of Operations Billy Wishers. Also, we have our Homeland Security Director here. I'd like to welcome Charles Tillotson, Director of Port Director. Thank you for being here. And Robert Morgan, the Superintendent from Infomark. So what I can say is, I'm sorry.
Your press writer.
Oh, and Shanta, basically, I don't know if I can say this, but our PIO, our communications director, and I want to thank her for putting together this slide and trying to giving me these notes that I will destroy and murder it if I try to read off these notes here. So I'd like to tell you where we are today in Plaquemines Parish. 3 out of the 5 facilities that we have are total inundated with salt water. The Boothville Venice plant, the Port Sulphur plant, and the Point LaHash plant. But all 3 of those plants today are producing potable and drinkable water. You're going to see assets to start hitting the ground in the Belle Chasse facility. They started doing some work bringing in mats to bring in the 18-wheeler trailers. We're going to produce about 4 million gallons a day potable water through the reverse osmosis and through our plant. So we're still going to be blending water from the river, and we also have the barges in place. And then in the future, Dalcor is going to be the next facility that's going to be hit. I'm sure you may have seen this afternoon on the news, the predictions are that the saltwater wedge is not going to be making it up the river as far as they first anticipated. But Plaquemines Parish will be inundated by it. October the 13th was the drop dead day for Belle Chasse to be inundated with the salt water. That date is still on time. But by October the 13th, with what we've done and the provisions that we have made throughout the parish, we have the water barges, they're in place right now. And like I said, by tomorrow afternoon, you will see 18-wheelers on site, and they will start connecting and putting those reverse osmosis machines together. So by October the 13th, when that saltwater wedge hits Belle Chasse, we will have zero effect on our water. So right here in the Belle Chasse community, and right now throughout all of Plaquemines Parish, we do not have to worry about the saltwater intrusion. It's all under control. So we do not need to go out and buy cases upon cases of water, and rest assured, your appliances, your refrigerators, your ice machines, we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. Again, let me say that 4 out of the 5 facilities that we have water barges in place. In 5 of the 5, we will have the reverse osmosis machines in place. So we do have that. It is under control. Now, early in, when we first got this, I believe it was somewhere around June the 13th, I'm with Mitch. We were coming around the jump down in Venice, and I said, Mitch, look out there, look at that ship, and the wheel wash on the ship, it was just white foam. So I'm sitting there going, you know, this is not a good thing right here. You could tell that the salt water was coming up the river. So I called my Homeland Security guy, and he goes, things should be fine. Well, June the 13th is somewhere on a Wednesday. So all of a sudden, by Friday, things were a little different. And by Monday, June the 19th, those levels went from being, say, 150 to 200, all the way to 700 to 800. And the threshold is 250 parts per milliliter. So it blew. I mean, it went from being acceptable to being not good within about 4 or 5 days. And those 4 or 5 days, and that's where that wedge, as the wedge comes up the river, it's like a triangle. The wedge is about 15 miles long. It starts at the bottom of the river, and it comes to the very top of the river, and it's about 15 miles. And that salt water, it creeps up the river about 1.5 miles a day. So ever since about June the 13th, June the 19th, from Boothville, Venice, it has been slowly creeping. So at that time, we made a decision to create a booster station at Alliance Refinery. So we moved forward with the booster station, which helps us push water from Belle Chasse down to Port Sulphur, down through Empire, and all the way to the Boothville Venice plant. And also in that process, we moved forward with the Port Sulphur facility to be able to create water at that facility. That facility was like 8 feet, 9 feet underwater after Isaac. So Ida, yeah. I lived through Isaac. that was my time on the council, yeah. So after Ida, it was like 8 feet underwater, so it was down. And we have it also, right now, we have it under contract to be rebuilt, but that's an 18-month process. And we didn't have 18 months to wait. So we moved fast forward in an emergency situation, and we got the plant back up and running about 6 to 8 weeks. Then LDH kicked in. They said because it had been out of commission for two years, we had to go through some extensive testing. So that prolonged it another 2 weeks right there. And all the while, our residents, we were able to push good water pretty much to the flagpole in Buras, but we couldn't get the water all the way down because during this time, we were also experiencing major water line breaks. And every time a water line breaks, we lose pressure. The first 6 months of this year, we experienced 13 water line breaks. And then all of a sudden from July, August, and through September, we've probably, in those 3 months, we probably experienced 80 to 90 water line breaks. And that's also a testament, that's as a result of where we are in this drought. Because our water table is dropped, and our lines are just hovering under, beneath the ground here. So, all of a sudden you get a little bit of stress on it, they break. And we were dealing with 2 to 3 line breaks a day. And then sometimes we have anywhere from an 8-inch to a 20-inch line. And break, you lose a serious amount of water, and you lose the pressure. So we experienced that also. But now that LDH gave us the approval on the water plant in Port Sulphur, so right now that is affording us the opportunity. That gives us the opportunity to produce water in Port Sulphur. We're producing water in Belle Chasse. We can also produce water in the Boothville Venice plant. But the Boothville Venice plant is one of the only facilities that we're not placing water barges because of logistics being so far down the road. But we did a dredging project to get the intake valve out of the mud, because the river is so low. It is just sitting out there. So we've had to do a dredging project to be able to get the water into our intake valve. And then once we get this reverse osmosis up and running, then we will be able to produce water at that facility, we're looking to do about 1 million gallons a day. In Port Sulphur, we're looking to do about 1.5 million to 2 million gallons a day. In the Belle Chasse facility, we normally produce about 7 million a day, but like I said, with everything that we're doing and getting all the plants up and running, we can probably get by with 500,000. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 5 million. 5 million, yeah, no, 500,000 is going way backwards. So 5 million. The Point LaHash facility is that's a 500,000 plant right there. Dalcor does 1 million. Again, so like I said, that is where we've been. That's from June the 13th. And as you've seen on TV, I have been preaching this since then. And this just didn't start 2-3 weeks for us. But about 2 to 3 weeks ago is when it started hitting Orleans and Jefferson Parish. And then that's where things really got kind of hairy for everyone. We also, because we do and we are going to be able to get about 1.5 million gallons a day from Jefferson Parish, because we do have a line that's connected, and we're also in the process of reconnecting a line that ties into Jefferson Parish. I think we're going to be able to get about 500,000 from Orleans Parish. We're also connecting a line from St. Bernard Parish during this process as well. But at any given time, what's going to happen is when this saltwater wedge flows up the river, when it hits St. Bernard, we have to shut that valve down. When it hits the Algiers area, we'll have to shut that valve down. And then should it make it up the river, we'll have to shut that valve down as well. And then we'll be totally independent in making our own water at that time. But right now, rest assured, we have that capability. We're going to be okay. And we've pretty much, I'm telling you, and I just want to reassure you that everything is working, and we do not have to worry about any of our appliances, refrigerators, ice makers, or any other device that you may have to be dependent on because of water right there. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yes?
Does Buras and Venice have drinkable water right now?
Yes, ma'am, they do. Yes. I'm sorry?
You still have an advisory.
Well, there's an advisory, but it is potable and drinkable water, though. Yeah. Let's see here. There's one right there. In Buras, which is the Port Sulphur facility, their readings today was 135. So that's well below the 250 chlorides. In fact, I'll go through all of them. The Boothville Venice plant today reading was 100. Port Sulphur, 135. The Point LaHash facility was 220, which is high but still below the 250, where you may start tasting salt in the water, but it's acceptable by LDH and the powers that be that do where we send the test results to. Dalcor, which is further up the river, which it's at 65. Belle Chasse at 50. And we have St. Bernard on here because we're pulling from there. They were at 49. So that's all 5 of our facilities. Like I said, the closest one was 220, and that was the Point LaHash facility. All right. Yes.
Those values, those are right out the river, or those are treated?
No, those are the treated values. I could go through I can let you know what's the raw material. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. See, in Boothville today, the raw water intake was 900, okay? But the finished product is 100. Again, that water is coming from the Port Sulphur. That's water that is being pushed from Belle Chasse to Port Sulphur all the way to the end of the road. In Port Sulphur, the raw water intake was at 238, and the finished product was 135. The Point Lahash, raw water was 210, and like I said, the finished product it was 220. I guess through the process of making the water, they throw the chlorides into the water system there. Alcor, the raw water was 50, the finished product is 65. Belle Chasse, raw water was 48, finished product is 50. So again, those are all acceptable chloride readings. Yes, sir.
Not that I don't believe you, but in the event that there are issues with appliances and things like that, I saw, I don't know, something on Facebook where somebody was referencing FEMA vouchers. Is that something that might be available? It was somebody on Facebook referencing a FEMA voucher for appliances. Is that something that exists?
Conversation yet? Patrick, let me let Patrick.
That question was answered on Facebook. That's for Hurricane Idalia that went into the Atlantic. So somebody answered on that comment, the anonymous post on Nosy Neighbors about the FEMA vouchers, and somebody answered that's under Hurricane Idalia's disaster plan. At no time right now there's any FEMA vouchers being issued for this event.
All right, and then one more question, just out of curiosity and for informational purposes. Can you provide more information about the barges? I mean, I'm curious about how long the water supply in a barge might last, and you know, how much does it hold and all that sort of thing.
The barges hold various amounts between 500,000 to 1 million gallons each. Barging will last until reverse osmosis are in place and operating, and if we need to continue barging operations at each facility, then we'll do so. But if the reverse osmosis units are in place running and they bring the chloride levels down to below the 250, then there was no more need of barging operations. But we'll keep barging operations on, you know, for a little while after the RO units are up and running to make sure everything's working properly, and then we'll release the barging operations from then.
I'm going to let Mitch has some more Facebook information for you here on some of the residents that are talking about our drinking water down there. Here you go, Mitch.
Yes, you know, we've all been watching Facebook, we've been looking at the horror stories. So today, thanks to Robert Morgan, a different wall, we said all of them went down there today to go address some of those issues. So we went to and you know what's a shame, what you hear on Facebook, and you call people up and you want to test their water. Well, it's not our water, it's his water. I'm not testing mine. So you're seeing all this stuff on Facebook. And what they're testing is the total dissolved solids, not the sulfur. So Robert Morgan said, Paul again out of there. He went to 3 separate samples, 2 from residences, 1 from yours, then 1 from Boothville, and 1 at the end of the line, down at the end of the road by Paul. One of them came in with chloride levels at 100, one came in at 105, and the last one at the end of the road came in at 100. So that's totally great water. So I just want to put the Facebook stuff to rest. These people out there panicking everybody, they're using the THS test, whatever, the total TSH or whatever. You know, and so don't listen to that. Because we sent them down there today to get the proof. And that proof will be on Facebook tonight if they keep it up. I promise you. Thanks, man.
I had someone call me who says that her brother and she had high blood pressure and they're worried about that. Does it just drink bottled water? Because we don't know what the salinity level is in the house. Right now, everybody's saying.
And let me tell you, I'm warned about bottled water. Sharon tells me, do you see the sodium in this water here? Even Gatorade. Robert, what was it? A liter of Gatorade has 140 chloride. So, I mean, it's in the drinks that we choose to drink. So we all have to be careful and cognizant and aware of what we are drinking.
Yes. When you say Belle Chasse, if I'm understanding correctly, by the 13th, should have potable water. But potable water is classified anything under a count of 250. When you say potable water, what are you classifying that? 100, 250?
Water that you can drink and you can consume.
Yeah, but still, how much salinity, how much salt is in a 50?
Those are those other numbers that we were mentioning, like the...
Okay, so it would be comparable to those.
We're at 50, 54 right now. And come the 13th, we're probably going to be at 75
Okay.
or 50. So, and look, Miss Nancy, there were some concerns on the north side of the canal about they know that we were getting the water in from Jefferson Parish, but we also push, our Belle Chasse water to that side of the canal as well. We're using Jefferson Parish right now just to take pressure off of this plant and now the Port Sulphur plant. But should this wedge make it up to Jefferson Parish, we have to shut it down and depend solely on ourselves here. So, good. All right.
I was just going to ask, suppose there's a circumstance where the water becomes non-potable for whatever reason.
You will know.
How will that notification be pushed out?
Well, what we'll have to do is we'll have to do a press release to the news media, and we might even have to use Facebook, but it's going to come from government, okay? And know that, yes, I mean, and look, we will know quick. Because look, we get these results. These tests are done on a daily basis. I've got the results from January 1 up to this day right here. So every day we get these test results right there.
If you have questions, please raise your hands.
Got one over here.
If you have high blood pressure or kidney issues, are we going to get any alerts as to the safety for that, and what should that number be, the threshold?
As soon as, if there's a situation where we know that our levels, something has happened, that our levels are going to go up, we will let you know. But right now, we're not going to be pulling water out of the river. We have barges set up by the ferry landing right now, and they're going to be bringing in about 5 million gallons of water, raw water, from further up the river that's not salt and infiltrated. So I really believe I do believe, and with all my heart here, we're okay. Okay?
I work on the U.S. On the naval base, and I was wondering how that would affect the naval base and
Not
the residents.
going to.
It's not going to.
Not going to. Water's going to flow through the base like it flows today. Yeah. Yes, sir. Right here, Patty. Patty over here.
If we're testing the water every day, I mean, everybody's watching Facebook, obviously. Can't the parish post these results daily so that it can shut the rumors down and we actually know what's happening?
The results will be on the website, correct? Where will the results be?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do it. And look, the council members, they've got their Facebook pages. Look, when we put something out on Facebook, they normally grab it and they share and move it forward. So what we'll do is we'll start pushing those notifications out so that you know where we are. Good deal.
Hi. I was trying to calculate all the numbers you were giving us earlier about how many we're going to be producing per day and how many each plant was producing per day. Is there going to be a shortfall in that? And if so, what are we going to do as far as that, to conserve it?
The Boothville Venice plant is a plant that produces 1 million gallons a day. That's our goal. Port Sulphur, 1.5 million to 2 million right now because it's a temporary repair. In the future, in a year from now, we're hoping to get it up to 3 million.
Help us out.
But this is going to help us out. And then like Belle Chasse, we should be able to continue to push that 6 to 7 million gallons a day right there. So this is what we're working on, and what we've done to set ourselves up right now is we're right where we need to be on our daily production of water. Yes.
Didn't have Port Sulphur for 2 years.
Right, and you see, and here's the thing, we didn't have Port Sulphur facility for 2 years. So by getting the Port Sulphur facility up, we're +2.
Still want to have to consider through the drought.
Yeah, look, let's not get excited. Jeff is saying, let's not get excited and start getting those water slides for the kids and everything on the weekend, and let's still conserve water here. Yeah.
Still under a burn ban.
And we're still under a burn dam. We're also looking at a project as well, because you can see there's a lot of water trucks that are pulling water out of our hydrants. We're taking a look at the effluent water from our wastewater plant. We're looking at possibly taking that water, using it, letting the water trucks use that water and to knock the dust down. So that's 1 million gallons a day that those vehicles come in and possibly pull from our facility. So that's something that we're looking at to do in the future here too as well. Let me say this right here. At the end of the day, we're going to, once we have everything in place, let me say this. We have a redundancy of what we're doing. Take Boothville Venice, for example. The redundancy there is that we are pushing water from Belle Chasse through Port Sulphur to that plant. Then we also have the reverse osmosis. We're not going to shut one down because one is working. That's always going to stay in place. Port Sulphur, we've got the water barges. We have the reverse osmosis. We're going to keep that system going. Belle Chasse, the same thing. We got the reverse osmosis, we have the water barges. So if one particular system should shut down and not work, we just kick back in to the raw water from the barges, or we continue to doing the reverse osmosis. The same thing for the East Bank and Point Lahashen and Dalcor. And like I said, from Jefferson Parish and from Orleans and St. Bernard as well. So once we have got these systems going, we're going to circle back around and we're going to start exploring, because now what we have to do is we have to know this is the second year in a row that this has happened. So now we have to circle back around and say, now we have to do something permanent at the Boothville Venice plant. We need to do an upgrade with a permanent reverse osmosis. So we're going to start looking at that. In the middle of the parish, we've got a lot of industry that's coming. We have the need for additional water in Plaquemines Parish. So we are going to seek out and start moving hard, fast on a new facility there. We're looking to build a plant that would produce about 15 million a day, but it would also be with a permanent reverse osmosis. Belle Chasse right now, it produces 7 million a day. We're in a project that's going to bring that up to 9 million, but there's room in that facility to bring that up to 12 million. So we're going to do that right there. On the East Bank at Point Lahashen, looking at get the reverse osmosis and make that a permanent station for them as well. The only ones we'll have to take a look at is Belle Chasse and Dalcor. Belle Chasse being the size plant. When you see what's going to happen here in the next day or two over there, you'll see the amount of 18-wheeler tractor trailers. It's quite extensive. We're going to have 8 to 10 tractor trailers stationed around that plant, because it takes that much to be able to run through a reverse osmosis there. So we may not be able to have that process to be a permanent situation in Belle Chasse facility. So any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Patty, in the corner.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I missed what you said about the wastewater. Could you please repeat that?
On the wastewater, we have trucks, they're water trucks that inside the plant that creates a lot of dust. So they're pulling water out of our good our good drinkable water, and they're just using it to knock the dust down. Now this effluent water from our wastewater plants, I would never do this, but they say you can drink it. I would never recommend that. We can, it's DEQ. It has to pass certain tests itself. It goes through the same process that our water plants go through. So on a daily basis, that water has to be tested, because that water is going out into the Mississippi River right there. So but by being able to produce, say, 1 million gallons a day, that takes pressure off of our water facilities right there. Thank you. Okay. Well, look, I want to thank everyone for being here this evening.
Right now, I think 30% of the water coming down the Mississippi it goes off to the Atchafalaya Basin. However, the Corps of Engineers are trying to get permission to lessen that percent and send more water this way for the future, not now. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, there was a brief conversation about that, and at one time they felt like when they opened that up, and by the time that water from the Atchafalaya would get to where it was, as it goes across the certain pastures and fields and everything, it wouldn't make it, because they're in a drought as well.
Thank you. I have a concern over the livestock. I know that we have in this parish in the north end at least 100 horses. What are your plans for those? And for the ranchers with the cattle?
I know some of the cattle ranchers on the southern end in the Port Sulphur area, they use city water. How do you water your horses right now?
City water.
City water. It's going to be good. Yeah. One more.
When are you going to make it rain?
Well, hey, if you look at Facebook, I got the river flowing up right now. So, well, look, thank y'all. I really appreciate y'all being here tonight. And we will have those numbers on. We'll get those numbers to you on a daily basis there. Thanks for that question.